Hello everyone, Miss Kim here. Special hi to my 4K friends and Colton. Today's story is Could Be Worse by James Stevenson. Now this is one of those books that I loved when my kids were little, and I would read it to them all the time, and you can tell it's well worn, but it's still one of my favorites. All right, so Could Be Worse by James Stevenson. And look at this picture. What do you think this might be about? I see a big bird, an old man in pajamas, and like icy, snowy mountains. Let's start and find out. All right. At Grandpa's house, things were always the same. Grandpa always had the same thing for breakfast, and he read the paper every day. Every day he read the paper. There's his house. There's Grandpa's breakfast. It looks like he always has toast with marmalade and reads the newspaper. And he always said the same thing. Could be worse. No matter what. Grandpa, that awful dog ate the sofa cushion. Could be worse. There's Grandpa. I got a splinter in my finger, Grandpa. Could be worse. My bike has a flat and my sneakers have a hole and I lost my kite in a tree, Grandpa. Could be worse. Wow. Grandpa doesn't say a whole lot, does he? One day, Mary Ann said, "How come Grandpa never says anything interesting?" "I guess because nothing interesting happens to him," said Louie. I'm just going to show you one picture so far. So the grandkids are talking, and they just think maybe Grandpa doesn't do anything fun, and that's why he doesn't say much. I think he heard them talking, though. What do you think's going to happen? Well, let's see. The next morning at breakfast, Grandpa said something different. He said, "Guess what?" Uh-oh. There he is. He's saying, "Guess what?" Now they're intrigued, aren't they? They're not sure what's going to happen next. Sorry, my book's falling apart. "Last night, when I was asleep, a large bird pulled me out of bed and took me for a long ride." Oh my. Do you think that really happened? Is Grandpa dreaming? "And dropped me in the mountains. I heard a noise, rumble, rumble, and an abominable snowman with a huge snowball, which he threw at me." Oh man. So the big bird that we saw in the front of the book dropped him off in those snowy mountains. I got stuck inside the snowball, which rolled down the mountain and finally landed on the desert and began to melt. I walked across the desert. Suddenly, I heard footsteps coming nearer and nearer. Grandpa's quite a storyteller. A moment later, I got squished by a giant something or other. Before I could get up, I heard a strange noise, and a great blob of marmalade was coming toward me. Squoosh, squoosh. And it chased me across the desert until... All right, do we think his story is real or is it pretend? I think he's sitting there at his breakfast and marmalade became one of his monsters because he saw it on the table. What do you think? I crashed into something tall. It was sort of like an ostrich and very cross. Cross is another word for angry. He's mad. It gave me a big kick. I went up into some storm clouds. Kablam! I almost got hit by lightning. Fell out of the clouds. Landed in an ocean, and I sank down about a mile to the bottom. I saw an enormous goldfish coming at me. All right, guys, do you think he's still telling a story that's real or pretend? I swam away as fast as I could and hid under a cup that had air in it. When it was safe, I crawled out. I started to walk, but my foot got stuck in the grip of a gigantic lobster. That is a big lobster. Gigantic is another word for big, huge. I don't think I've ever seen a lobster that big. I didn't know what to do, but just then a big squid came along. It squirted black ink all over my lobster. I escaped and hitched a ride on a sea turtle that was going to the top for a bit of sunshine. I was fortunate to find a piece of toast floating by and rowed to shore, where I discovered a newspaper. I quickly folded it into an airplane. All right, guys. I really think he's starting to use things at his breakfast table to make up a story. What do you think? Because he likes to read his paper every day. We had a cup of coffee earlier. And flew across the sea and back home to bed. Now, what do you think of that? What do you think they're going to say? Could be worse. So now they're teasing their grandpa because he always said could be worse to them, huh? Well, that is such a fun story. And it's a fun story because the grandpa made up a really funny make-believe story to sound more interesting, didn't he? He used things that he could find in his kitchen where he was sitting. He talked about the big cup having air in it under the ocean, and he talked about swimming away in or flying away in a newspaper airplane, and he even talked about a giant blob of marmalade, which is a type of jelly or jam, chasing him across. So I hope you enjoyed this funny story. One extension of this would be to have your children tell stories. And it's okay if it's make-believe and fun. Make a game of it. Maybe have them look around whatever room you're in, whether you're in your living room or your kitchen, and have them pick out an item that might start the story. So let's say you're in your kitchen and they spot the toaster. Have them tell you a wonderful story about the toaster and its adventures. And encourage imagination, encourage new words, describing words, speaking skills. These are all vital skills that'll help them in their future. Okay? I hope you enjoyed the story. I'll be back again tomorrow. Goodbye, 4-year-olds, and goodbye, Colton. And actually, some of you 4-year-olds are now 5, so all my 5K students, and bye, Colton. See ya.